What's good, peeps? Thanks as always for passing by the channel. Much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. All right, so I've just finished watching the Joe Rogan podcast with Andy Ruiz Jr. It's only an hour long, so if you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. It's not the greatest podcast you're ever going to watch, I have to admit. If you are a Joe Rogan fan like me, you know his podcasts normally go 2, 3, sometimes even 4 hours long. So for this to only be an hour long, I think tells you it's not the greatest podcast, but nonetheless, it's still quite fun finding out a few things about Andy Ruiz Jr. that I didn't know, like he's got 5 kids, didn't know this. And his story, I think his story is fantastic as well. So go and check it out if you want to check it out. What I did notice, or what I was thinking when watching the podcast, was just, and this is so random, but just about life. Just about life in general and how unpredictable and how random life is. Andy Ruiz Jr. was talking about his own situation. He was in a deal with Top Rank, Bob Arum, those deals that no one can get out of. And he wasn't getting fights and he wasn't getting paid very well. And he had to buy his own contract out. I think he had 1 or 2 fights left on the contract. He had to buy that out. So financially, he was really struggling. He had that fight against Dimitrenko. Then he heard about the AJ Jarrell Miller situation, then sent a random text to Eddie Hearn, not expecting to get a text back. And then he got the call, shook the world, and now look. I mean, he's literally gone from there to there all of a sudden. A guy that was earning, I'm going to guess, could be wrong here, $200,000-$300,000 a fight is now expected to earn anywhere between $15 to $25 million for the rematch. That's incredible. I mean, life can take you from there to there, just like that. So anyone that's going through bullshit in life right now, just keep positive, because you never, ever know. I do wonder why AJ's not been on the podcast yet. They've had Deontay Wilder there, Tyson Fury's been there, obviously now Andy Ruiz Jr. is there. I wonder why AJ didn't go prior to the Ruiz fight. He went to the Breakfast Club, which, I mean, if you're going to go to one, if you had the choice of one or the other, surely you go to Joe Rogan's podcast, which is more suited to the market you're trying to get in terms of boxing fans tuning in for your fight. I don't know. Makes sense to me. So it'd be good to see AJ on the Joe Rogan podcast. I think it'd be good to see what Joe Rogan asks and how AJ answers it, but hopefully that happens soon. Let's talk about the rematch very quickly. This rematch that seems to be going this way and that way, right? I mean, remember, I don't know, about 2 months ago, Eddie Hearn did an interview saying there's 4 possibilities in terms of venues. It was Wembley, Cardiff, Madison Square Garden, and Tottenham's new stadium. Tottenham fell out, Wembley fell out, and then it was like a straight shootout between Cardiff and MSG. And then we've had this recent incident with Oscar Rivas and Dillian White and UCAD, and Andy Ruiz Jr. being very vocal about not wanting to come to the UK because of it. And you can't blame him, right? You can't blame him, because that seemed like a cover-up. And I don't know, AJ's the poster boy over here. If they're going to cover anyone up, they're going to cover AJ up. So you can't blame him for saying, I don't want to travel. But now Eddie Hearn, obviously, and rightly said, look, you travel where you're supposed to travel. And I get that as well. I mean, this is a rematch clause that's been written up. This isn't nothing new. AJ has the final say. That's what we're hearing from Eddie Hearn. So all of a sudden, anyway, MSG is now falling out as well. Eddie Hearn admitted this. Eddie Hearn said it's not going to happen at MSG, that Cardiff is now the front runner. But then he also mentioned, and Andy Ruiz Jr. mentioned this as well, that it isn't just Cardiff. There's a couple more possibilities as well now. So all of a sudden, Tottenham fell out, Wembley fell out, MSG fell out, and now there's a couple more. Now, I'm going to take a wild guess here and say those 2 more that have now entered the race are, in fact, 3 more. I'd make an argument and say 3 more. Eddie Hearn said you can't rule out anywhere, but I'm going to rule out some places. So the ones I'm not going to rule out are Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, just because of the money. We know what kind of money they've got. I'd hate it to be there, by the way. I'd hate it to be there. And Nigeria. Those are the 3 that I think have now entered the race. And I think it all comes down, well, it comes down to 2 things. 1, money, right? If they're going to pay a bucket load of money, then why not? And 2, Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn always says in interviews that AJ has the final say. So if that's true and AJ does have the final say, we can rule out Mexico. AJ is not going to go into enemy territory like that. Ain't doing it. Why would he? You'll be stupid to do that. Why would you want to go into the champion's backyard when you don't have to? You wouldn't do that. So I think that rules out Mexico. I can't for the life of me see how this fight goes to Saudi Arabia. I can't. I know they'll probably offer the most money out of everyone, but it just doesn't make sense for a fight of this magnitude to go to Saudi Arabia. There is no connection there. There's nothing there. It makes absolutely no sense for this fight to go to Saudi Arabia. So now, and look, guys, this is just my thoughts, by the way. This is nothing concrete. This is just the way I think. So now we're left with that one option, and that one option being Nigeria. We know AJ went to Nigeria recently. We know that. The reception he got there was unbelievable. Could that open his eyes to think, you know what? I want to fight here. I want to fight here. If I was AJ and I had all the options in front of me, I mean all of them. So I'm talking MSG, T-Mobile Arena, Cardiff, Wembley, Mexico, Jeddah, Nigeria, anywhere else in the world that might be brought up. I'm going Nigeria. I'm easy. It's not even close. I'm going Nigeria. And I'm not just saying it as a Nigerian. In fact, I'd say anywhere in Africa. I'm going there. Just because it's different. It's different and it will be remembered. It will be remembered. I mean, there's so many fights MSG, you don't remember them. So many fights T-Mobile Arena, you don't remember them. I mean, Mexico would be an option, but it's Andy Ruiz's backyard. Why do that? Right? Wembley, you've done it. Cardiff, you've done it. Africa would be just as big as it comes. I mean, come on. I mean, look, I know AJ is not Muhammad Ali and Andy Ruiz Jr. is not George Foreman. But when I think of the biggest fight in the history of boxing, I think of Rumble in the Jungle. I just do. I think of Rumble in the Jungle. And the funny thing is, it wasn't even the best fight, but it's the biggest fight in boxing. AJ has a chance to somehow get close to that, replicate that. I mean, Nigeria have a massive stadium in the capital city, Abuja, where the national football team play, and they would pack that place out. I mean, they'll pack it out 10 times over. 10 times over to watch AJ. And I just wonder if his head has been swayed a little bit by the people saying they can do the fight in his recent trip. Because all of a sudden, it's gone from MSG going, Tottenham going, Wembley going, okay, fair enough, Cardiff. Now, all of a sudden, Eddie Hearn's saying, not yet. Hence why a decision hasn't been made yet. Something's happening behind the scenes, and I would not be shocked if Nigeria has put its hat in the ring. And again, for those people that maybe think Nigeria can't afford to do it, it certainly can. Nigeria was one of the three options for the AJ Vladimir Klitschko rematch. That didn't happen. It was Nigeria, Wembley, T-Mobile Arena. So, I mean, there is some history there. There have been conversations with people. And I think it would be just, I can't explain to you how epic and how big that would be. And what it would do for the growth of the sport in West Africa. Not South Africa. South Africa's got a lot of boxers, but West Africa, it would just be ridiculous. It'd be ridiculous. Fingers crossed. Well, for me anyway, because I'll fly out. Peace.